Hello, my name is Priscila Delgado, and today we will be discussing some aspects of Chapter 3. So, basically, what the chapter talks about is the essential characteristics that define and shape our attitudes. And attitudes are developed through socialization during our childhood and adolescence, and are the psychological construct of mental and emotional entities that characterize us as individuals. Today, I will be talking about two theories: the symbolic approach and the balance theory. So, first off, the symbolic approach says attitudes are characterized by emotional reactions to symbolic predispositions. The balance theory, on the other side, provides a method to understand situations in which people will face cognitive inconsistency. In other words, it helps reduce opposing attitudes to balance out the relationship, which does not always work, but the book mentions there's also times when the effort to achieve cognitive balance results in attitude change. In my case, I developed a strong attitude towards religion because I grew up in a home where both of my parents valued Catholicism, and this was because they both learned such behavior at home. After reviewing the interesting aspect of shaped attitudes, I came to the realization that every attitude is a reflection of learned or influenced behavior. Now, ever since we were little, my siblings and I learned about the saints, the Virgin Mary, and the importance of going to church every Sunday. And the reason why is because my parents were so involved in the church. They had priests who were friends. We were in a school full of nuns, Catholic private school. So we learned such behaviors, and growing up, most of us would do things and go to church and pray because we felt it was the right thing to do, and not necessarily because we wanted to. As I mentioned in my introduction video, I became the coordinator of my church group. I thought my purpose was to change teenagers' attitude towards religion and God, and based on my learned beliefs. We would implement retreats these kids could experience emotionally to obtain a worth on the topic and shape their attitudes. The reason why I believe it's done is because many people hear about God or see religious symbols and automatically associate it with a negative experience. But once they're involved emotionally, from what I could see, their attitudes were shaped or reinforced. However, some people with opposing strong attitudes might have a different view or are not persuaded by a change. And I can understand that in many situations. Every Friday when we would get together, I would see this, where there was conflict on opposing sides, contradicting what I was preaching. But, then there was my best friend, and he experienced all sorts of retreats, testimonies, and such. But the experiences he faced during his adolescence formed a strong attitude against God and religion. But because he was my best friend, and I thought that was the only thing that was keeping us from having a stronger friendship and developing a stronger bond, I wanted to change his beliefs, as bad as it sounds. But every time we would engage in strong arguments on opposing sides due to both of our strength and attitude. So eventually I gave up. I had to learn to accept that we all have a symbolic attitude, which is what we value, and that we have our own ideologies. Attitudes, I believe, are a matter of personal experience or beliefs we value, and it can apply in any situation, such as a workplace, with your significant other, or a friendship like it did with me. And if you're ever put in the situation like me, by applying the balance theory, we learn to understand situations in which people will disagree with our strong attitudes opposing theirs, and that it's okay. We need to learn to, from time to time, just accept that not everybody's going to agree with our ideas, and that our beliefs are not the only ones who are right. Thank you.